3% for the oil producing community is too low.
But the support that is needed, and once again, the support your airline people will blossom.
This is Nigeria. You need to give people sense of belonging.
Why will a medical doctor work for 9 months, 16 months, 19 months without getting paid?
But you see how much the kidnappers are taking from victims.
My thing is, government should I think all the stakeholders will together, and I think we get that.
The 3% for the oil producing community is too low.
But the support that is needed, and once again, the support your airline people will blossom.
This is Nigeria. You need to give people sense of belonging.
Welcome to the midweek edition, February 9th, 2022 of Inside Nigeria, reaching you on Leadership Television. My name is Winifred Bebo, and with me in the studio is our usual public affairs analyst, Samala Musa.
Good morning, viewers.
Always a
Thank you
pleasure
for
to have
having
you on the program.
Thank you.
Yes, well, viewers, we have three papers for review this morning. We have our staple leadership, Nigeria's most influential newspaper, Leadership, its sister publication, National Economy, and Nigerian Tribune. And of course, as usual on the program, we are flagging it up with leadership. Okay. Leadership newspaper. Okay. For leadership this morning is leading with the headline. It's leading. Sorry. Okay. Leadership is leading this morning with the story on seven-day ultimatum by CSO expires. PMB yet to sign electoral bill. 7-day ultimatum by civil society organizations, civil society organizations expires. President Muhammadu Buhari yet to sign electoral bill. That is on leadership this morning. On the rider, it has IPAC stakeholders express concern over delayed presidential assets. Mr. President has no excuse this time. Buba. New movement emerges, backs Southern presidency. I'll take it again. Nigeria's problems. Okay, this is the one.
This is the one on the screen.
Okay. Sorry for the mix-up. Yes, this is the one. Okay, sorry for the mix-up. Well, we are sorry for the mix-up. We'll take leadership's paper this morning, midweek edition. It says Nigeria's problems have defied cosmetic solutions, that is IBB. Nigeria's problems have defied cosmetic solutions, IBB. It says leadership must be occupied by competent, visionary individuals. Nigeria must be rescued from wrong drivers, Buba. New movement emerges, backs Southern presidency. Yes, that is today's leadership newspaper, Wednesday, February 9th, 2022 edition. Simona, this is the second time former President Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida is making such a remark. He did this when he was actually Nigeria's head of state. Nigeria's problems have defied cosmetic solutions. And now he's saying it again after how many years? What do you have to say about that?
Oh, well, thank God that he further, proffered solutions on what he perceived to be the solutions to the Nigerian's problem that has defied cosmetic solutions. It's all about leadership, really. There's no, it's not a rocket science, actually. If we have the right people in place to drive, the affairs of this country is going to move forward. I mean, if it's done in other countries, I don't see any reason why we cannot do it. Nigerians are talented. We have very intelligent, people. We have competent people in Nigeria, but getting them into power is actually the major problem, and that's why everybody is actually being vocal about the kind of people who are supposed to occupy the position of leadership in this country. He has proffered solutions to say, Nigeria need competent people to be actually there in driving the affairs of this country. And beyond that, we know what the problems are. I mean, if you can identify your problems, you are halfway done. You understand? It's not just, getting the right people in place that will now begin to drive all these solutions that you have in place. Over time, Nigeria has just not been lucky with the right people in place, because quite a lot of times we apply sentiments when we are, choosing who to be and who is not to be. It's either if we are not using the sentiment of ethnic sentiments, it will be religious sentiment, and that's actually one of the biggest, spanner in the wheel of progress of this country, and that will continue to stay with us in as much as we're not ready to do away with all these sentiments. Because I mean, we continue to be in the same place if we continue to bring this kind of people who we feel we know. I've had people say to me, oh, maybe in terms of the governor or somewhere else or the president, that they will say, we actually know this person cannot do it, but because at that time we just needed to bring him. We need to do away with this sentiment. And well, thank God people like IBB are voicing it out, regardless of who feels is not right or who is feeling hot by those kind of statements. Because each time people like that make statements, some persons always perceive that it's actually directed to them. But I mean, let them play their role before they exit the scene. Most of them are actually holding their body parts. I'm talking about, they are on their last lap of their existence on earth. Sorry to say that, but I mean, that's just the reality. They are old, they are holding their body parts already, which they can actually take off anytime. But let them keep contributing their quota while they are still here.
Yeah, as mother, the problem is that most of these are leaders. Before they get there, they even have the problems, they have the solutions and the keys to addressing these problems. But getting there is another different ballgame altogether. What is happening? Why is it that they are, even the parties, they can't hold them accountable for it? That look at what we promised these people and look at where we are. There is need to deliver on these
Because
mandates. Why are
there's
they not
no,
holding them
you
accountable?
see, there's no ideology really. Nigerian politics is not driven by ideology. When you don't have ideology, you don't have a proper manifesto, regardless of who is the president. If the party has a manifesto that they sat down to actually draft themselves, and the president who or to be president is actually in tune with the ideology or the manifesto of the party, that this is what we want to do. In other climes, they all sit down and iron it out to say, well, regardless of what you have, this is what we campaign to do for Nigerians. We need to start taking them one after the other. And each time you are holding this kind of your party, either a neck meeting or something, it should be on the front burner to check to see how far have we gone in those things we promise the people, because this is our manifesto. We have not achieved anything on the list. You understand? So if those kind of things are in place, then you begin to achieve something. But because the politicians or the politics is not actually driven by ideology, I mean, is it you that was given £1 billion to support somebody that you come and tell him that he hasn't done what you understand? He will tell you that, where do you think I will make that money back? So if there is actually a program that is saying, okay, based on this party is formed on this basis. This is what we intend to achieve if we get to power in 6 months. There should be timeline for political parties to say, if we get there, this is what we want to do. And the second thing is actually, some of their team members are also people who were nominated by I mean, the same people who feel they are godfathers, you understand,
Mm.
not putting the round, I mean, the people round peg in round holes, you understand, not putting competent people, but based on how much does this person brought during our campaign. So he needs to give us social person who is going to man social place based on maybe the promises. But if we begin to look at people who actually know this job, and that's why it's important that going forward in 2023, you need to start asking questions. People who are presenting themselves to be either president or governor, they also need to tell you who are their team members, who are going to you are going to drive this country together, so that Nigerians will have the opportunity to begin to check the profile of the president to be, or the governors to be, team member, to know who and who is going to man what. You understand? So those are major issues that are actually drawing us back a lot of times, why they cannot achieve anything when they get to power.
Now, it's about APC has been in government for almost 7 years plus now, while PDP has been in opposition for this also about years. Now, do you think this time has have given them the required time to put their house in order, tidy up the manifesto, as you have said, so that when campaigns start and they'll be able to uh, run with these manifestos?
I only hope so. I'm not their party member, but I just feel that should have been the right thing to do.
Mm.
But unfortunately, you never can tell. You find out a lot of times that they are rather busy with how to grab power by all means,
Mm.
rather than concentrating on what they want to do. There are so many lessons to learn from this present government. You understand? For anybody who is aspiring, who is an onlooker now, there are so
Mm.
many lessons to learn, because if you are not prepared, so many things are bound to happen. And that's why when this government came into place, it took them more than 6 months to actually form a cabinet. There's no, I mean, it's like when you are not prepared, you don't even believe you can actually get it. Then all of a sudden, the thing just fell on your lap, and you begin to scramble to say, "So now I have power. What do I do with it?" So it's actually one of the major problems we keep facing all the time. But hopefully, going forward, I feel the right thing to do, because at this critical time, Nigeria actually need people who can actually pull it out of this doldrum that we found ourselves really. And those people should be getting prepared, if at all they are serious.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. From leadership, we move over to a sister publication talking about business on national economy. Yeah. Today's midweek edition says regulatory lapses turn Nigeria to Europe's toxic fear dumping ground. Regulatory lapses turn Nigeria to Europe's toxic fear dumping ground. Federal government says it has identified supplier appropriate sanction we apply. Regulatory lapses turn Nigeria to Europe's toxic fuel dumping ground. This is on national economy.
Yeah.
What is happening? Filling stations are still not selling fuel, and they adduce the reasons to toxic fuel that they are trying to avoid. What is happening?
Well, even before getting to all these regulatory lapses we're talking about, we have four comatose refineries that are dumping billions annually. I think for any right thinking person would believe that the right thing to do is to make sure these refineries are working. Why? Because the question should have been that why do we need to export crude that is in Nigeria?
Right here now, at the moment.
You understand? Taking it somewhere else to go and refine and bringing it back. It doesn't make any logical sense in the long run. And that's why we keep having all these kind of issues. You know, let this refinery start working. It's one of the promises this government was making while they were in opposition to come and do. And unfortunately, or I mean, I don't know how to put it now, because if we have a president who has so much experience in this industry, who himself is actually the substantive minister of petroleum, yet our refineries are actually not even refining anything, so to say. And yet, what's the justification for the billions that is going into those refineries? When you hear about turnaround maintenance of these refineries, you always you just want to cry for this country. You understand? Then we're coming to this. so many people's car have been grounded these
Mm.
few days that this toxic fuel got into the system. It's quite unfortunate, and you will find out nothing is going to be done
About
to
it.
about these people's plight. Actually, nobody is going to try to gives them some kind of a succor to say, okay, well, let's actually do something. It's either by giving them some money because it wasn't actually their fault.
Mm.
You understand? The same government is the one who is saddled with the responsibility of putting checks into place
Please.
to know what kind of fuel is coming into the country. And unfortunately, some persons, and when you investigate this kind of thing, you will not be surprised to find out that some persons actually are aware that this is what is coming in. But maybe because some palms have been greased,
Machinery.
some persons have collected something, and that's why this will actually find its way into this country. It's unfortunate that this kind of thing is happening, and this is going to continue because some persons are also going to take advantage of this, to make sure or to further make this fuel to be more scarce. We know each time we have one issue or the other concerning petroleum, some people are already seeing an avenue to make so much money from it. Even the ones who ordinarily did not are not having this toxic fuel will also want to take advantage of it to say no, they are holding it now because they feel they are, but you will find out what's going to be happening. Is either some of this will be exported, through some of these porous borders, or still
Mm.
find a way
A way
to
back.
a way back into the system.
Sad, really.
Yeah.
From national economy, we move over to a last paper for review this morning, and that is Nigerian Tribune. What do we have on Nigerian Tribune? Says ASU insists on strike. Says federal government dribbling us. ASU insists on strike. Says federal government dribbling us. Hmm.
Well, ASU, honestly, I really don't know what to say about this issue of ASU. These things
Mhm.
have been there.
Mhm.
ASU strike, maybe since we were babies, we've been hearing about ASU strike this, ASU strike that. And the major issues have always been the same over the decades, about, they keep sitting down all the time. In 6 months, it's like what they keep doing is just shifting the evil days.
Mm.
Unfortunately, ASU itself is actually not helping matters because, and I know that usually happen when a set of people believe that they are the most intellectual. They don't listen to any other person. They don't listen to advice. I think ASU should have just knew that most of these people you are sitting down with, they don't have their children schooling in Nigeria. It will never affect them. So what should have been their solution will have been to connive with the students themselves to say, look, we keep going on strike all the time. It affects you, the student. It also affects us. You know, you also our own children. These people will never find a solution to it. So the right way to do is to connive with the students, stage protest using the students themselves. If you ground most of the places where they also are benefiting from, or their offices, use the student to go to start protesting rather than taking it solely upon yourself, because you keep going on strike, it never help anybody in the long run. After they can go on strike for 8 months, eventually you will hear one day they are sitting down somewhere to say they have reached an agreement, the agreement that will never be met,
Exactly.
and then 6 months after, we're coming back to ground zero. It's unfortunate, and I think this should be looked into to be solved once and for all. Because in as much as their children don't school in Nigeria, I don't think they're going to be taking it serious, except to take drastic measures to say, well, some of the things they are enjoying now, they won't gain access to it. Go into some parley with the students themselves to say what's the solution to all this, because we want these things to be solved once and for all. Other than that, this is what we keep having all the time.
Now, would you say that ASU's demands are unrealistic?
Well, to a large extent, some of the demands are unrealistic. I think maybe what they need to do is actually to look for a middle ground. To say, okay, on your part, what do you think can be met? Because if you keep shifting it, it's going to be there forever.
Mm.
What are those things that you think you can actually meet now, in within the space of 1 month? If those things are not taken into consideration, then we embark on this strike. So if you cannot around all the things they feel they can do, so that you already know that these ones that you say you cannot meet, which way forward? You understand? Because that's why they're saying, oh, federal government keep dribbling us. They tell them they're going to do this, they're going to do that, and then eventually. But you see, I think the organization or the association itself needs to really look inward. Because if some persons are being compromised within the leadership, you never can find any solution. It's the same thing that is happening with the NLC, and Nigerians are beginning to get sick and tired of the NLC because they feel whatever they are doing or saying is actually a decoy. Some persons within the leadership are actually collecting money from the federal government each time. You understand? So when the leadership is collecting money and then is not getting down, the solutions are not being met, the federal government always feel, but we have actually reached an agreement with you. You demanded for XYZ amount and we gave it to you. If that is not done, if you did not sit down to know who is collecting what on your behalf, because each time you want to reach an agreement that that is not going to be met, and people are telling you, the same association is telling you that they are calling off the strike, you need to know what has happened. You understand?
Yes.
To know if you have compromised, let us know so that we know whether we're going back or we're calling it off or not. But it's unfortunate because that's Nigerian system. Each time the leadership will always compromise.
Now, after years, given years of protracted strike, within the system between the ASU federal government, I think the total monument or funds now in contention it's more than it's about trillions. So is the federal government about able to redeem his
It's actually
pledge
not.
or his promise?
It's actually not going to happen. And that's why I say let them reach a compromise.
It's
Let there be
say something trillion.
let there be a middle ground to say, okay, out of this money, this is what we can actually afford. If it's okay with ASU, if it's not okay, let them say, okay, since we are looking for a middle ground, increase it to so amount. Is that doable? Let that be agreed. Whatever agreement you are reaching, let it be something that is doable, so that you don't keep deceiving yourself.
And why the federal government is on about, as you just suggested, should the slate now be wiped clean? Because it's not something you keep bringing over the years. That look at what we had on ground, because it's been over the years, and now which is now puts it to about 1 point something trillion.
The solution is
So
to
the
wipe
federal
that
government
slate.
say, let's just wipe this state clean so that we start afresh. Because at the end of the day, I don't see how the federal government is going to.
If the federal
fulfill
government
that
can
1
say, well, let's cut it by half, so that once we meet that half, we can now wipe the slate. I mean, that looks more reasonable. Other than that, I really do not see the solution, because I don't know where those figures are going to come from. With the present situation in the country, really, it's just to look for a middle ground where we feel, on part of the federal government, say what you can redeem now. Don't even know any promises. Just tell them, put it straight, that this is what we can do for now. Because you need to actually put the plight of the Nigerian students into cognizance. You understand? It's just a few privileged ones that can actually go out of to go and school abroad.
Yes.
The rest of them are here. So if the Nigerian educational system that people are already complaining about, you are now we're complaining about that is actually not up to standard. And that's why people will prefer to take their children to Ghana, to Cotonou Republic, unfortunately. And then you now keep those kids at home again for 8 months because ASU is on strike. So how do you even bridge that gap? You understand? So it's actually something that needs to be sorted now and for all. Other than that, it's going to get worse, because and that's to tell you the kind of product we keep getting. You go to where they are taking this test for NYC. NYC is now giving them a test. The other day, I had to go there to witness some of these things. A lot of these Nigerian graduates cannot even write two sentences. As a matter of fact, in the office of the DG of the NYC, they brought out some of the scripts for me to see. You are wondering if, when I was in primary 6, I wouldn't write that. And these are graduates, they couldn't write just 2 sentences. What are the things they are asking? Quite a lot of them is just to write something about the institution you graduated from, and they couldn't. It's unfortunate, really, and this is the kind of these are some of the factors that is actually contributing to those kind of stuff.
Very, very unfortunate, as you said, Samela Musa. Well, viewers, this is where we are calling it a day on today's Inside Nigeria on Leadership Television. We wish to also apologize for the technical hitch we had at the start of the program. So, due to some circumstances beyond our control. Samela Musa, it's been a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you.
Hope to see more of you on the program.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, viewers. I remain Winnie for the program. Don't forget, tomorrow is another day, same station, same time. Do keep it there with us. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.